Alright folks, what is up? This is One Big Bug and I'm coming at you with Euro Truck Simulator 2, picking your first truck, and no, this is not one of the first trucks you can get. I wanted to show off my truck. I finally unlocked a good multi-wheel chassis for it. I mean, not that the basic chassis were bad, especially when you start getting fuel efficiency up, but the second tier unlock of the mod that I put in, the level 18, yeah, you can see right back there has that extra gas tank on the back, that nice big one. So you're actually carrying about 1,200 liters worth of fuel, so you get plenty of distance out of it. They say it's a 10 by 4, but you have like 4 wheels that steer, 10 on the ground. Is that what that means? But no, there's 6 wheels that steer. The front wheels, the wheels just behind the cab, and these very back wheels actually turn. And your drive wheels are the wheels in between the wheels just behind the cab and the very back wheels. So I don't know what they mean by 10 by 4. I would think it's more like a 10 by 6 by 4, I guess. But whatever. I changed up the lighting on a little bit too, put up some more lightings on it, just for the hell of it and whatnot. Yeah, but there's my truck, there's my Scania. She's still only got a 654 horsepower engine, but we're going to change that. Probably around level 20 or so, I'm going to put in a stronger engine. So, yeah, I just wanted to show that off real quick. I had finally unlocked a really nice multi-wheeled heavy-duty chassis. So, we're getting set for hauling a heavy load up steep mountains. But anyways, that's not what we're here for, is it? No, it's not. We are here to continue on with our trucks, and I actually went and I bought another garage, and I bought all the trucks I need, Scania, Volvo, and the Renault Magnum for later, and we're semi-set for getting bigger trucks, the bigger trucks to do the high-end trucks later on. But in this one, we will be doing this truck. You better appreciate that Scania, dude. And it comes back with a single scratch on it. I'll beat you senseless. Alright, so here we go. The Volvo FH 1316 Sleeper. Now, this is the only truck that you can buy that's a beginner truck that actually has the side panels, as you see right here on the truck. And it's the only truck where the beginning truck comes in 2 different colors. And I'll show you what I mean. Volvo. Buy online. Right here. These 2 trucks, exactly the same. 380 horsepower, 280 kilowatt engine, same thing. 1900 newton meters at 1000 to 1400 RPMs. Transmission's the same, fuel's the same. This one's a little bit more expensive because it's black. It's got the side panels on it. It looks a little cooler. So I did go with the more expensive truck just for looks, because, well, that's what I do. But for the most part, the average, if you're going to start with Volvo, you can start with this one, the grayish white one. It is $102,420. And again, it's the FH 1316 4x2 Sleeper with the left-handed steering wheel, 380 horsepower, 280 watt kilowatt engine, 1900 newton meters at 1000 to 1400 RPM. Why am I going over this again? Just bear with me. I-Shift ATO 351 2D transmission, and it carries an 800 plus 600 liter tank, so plenty of fuel. Now, 1900 newton meters at 1000 RPM. I believe this is the strongest truck out of the whole group. And before they came out with a patch, I don't know which patch it was, the actual starting Volvo actually started with a 560 horsepower engine, or 550. It was really powerful. And if you wanted to start with a truck that could just haul anything right off the bat, then you went with the Volvo. But what's the drawback with the Volvo? Well, number one, short chassis. Short chassis, semi-tall cab, that makes it a very unstable truck. Bar none. It's probably one of the most unstable, second only to probably the DAF. Number two, quite honestly, I don't like the way it looks. And when you upgrade it, when you put the high top on it, you get this ridiculous Globetrotter XL look to it. You see the look up here, and it doesn't look right. It really doesn't. Even when you go in here and you get multi-wheeled on it, it still, it just looks really, really strange to me. Um, and until you upgrade your chassis, you do not ever upgrade your cabin. Because if you upgrade your chassis before you upgrade your cabin, you have made probably the single most unstable truck in the game. I really would not recommend going with the extended cabin on this without getting a multi-wheel chassis. Period. End of story. I did that. My very first truck I ever bought was a Volvo, and I upgraded the cabin, and I was tipping on almost any corner, hauling even light loads. It was pretty freaking nuts. So there is that. But other than that, let's get into the truck and see if we can find a reasonable load to haul. Shall we? Job market, freight market. Head up. We have a 22-ton boat. Oh, this is price per distance. I don't have it set up for route length. Okay, that's definitely the wrong route length. Boat. Really? I really would not want to do 12 tons. And I definitely don't want to do 75 tons. So this is looking like it's going to be too far. 598 kilometers, that's almost, but that's still just a little bit too far. So we're going to see about switching trucks here. Real quick, we'll switch into the Iveco, because that should make us a ton of money. And then straight back into the Volvo. And then we'll try. I'm making money hand over fist now. I can pretty much buy any truck I want. So it doesn't take a lot. And that's something that really bothers me as well. It does not take a lot in this game to get your company to the point where you can just do whatever the hell you want. Fines don't matter. You were just making money hand over fist. It really, really takes very little effort. There's very little negative to the game in terms of your drivers. You don't end up in bad drivers. They don't get in accidents. You don't have extra things to pay. You don't have to worry about things like insurance and things like that. And it's just really too easy to get your company to a point where it's like money doesn't matter anymore. And that's something I'd really like to see fixed. As I mentioned before, a much more in-depth 62 tons, no, 28 tons. If it was not so far. 11 tons, 18 tons. No, it looks like we're still going to be too much distance. That's 535. 25 tons. You know what? We're going to take it. We're going to take it. The Volvo's got a strong engine, 1900 Newton meters to start. As I said before, that's really powerful. I think it's the most powerful truck to start still. And another thing about the Volvo is it is the most powerful truck in the game, unmodded. It's got a nice sound. It's got a really nice dashboard. Oh, and I have turned up the graphics quality because I can record just fine on the higher graphics now that I really know that it's not the game that's it's not the rendering that's the problem, that it is the recording. So it's fairly easy for me to fix now. I've put things back up to medium. We don't have far to go to get the load. That's always nice. Now, the Volvo does have a nice view out the front windshield. It's got a good windshield. It's got a very easy to read dashboard, which is always a bonus. I think this is the first truck that has a really easy to read dashboard. Oh man, I really want to haul that train. Not in this truck though. No, not in this truck. We will do that in the Scania, like I said. I think I want to take a break from doing like picking your truck and the high-end trucks and all that. And I'm going to By the way, if you guys do leave comments on my video, I will respond. Sometimes it just takes me a little while to get around to doing it. So just be patient, and I promise you, you will get a response. But going back to the vision of the truck, the mirrors are really nice on this truck. It's got a really big standard mirror and a really decent fisheye. However, the way that the mirror is set up, it does block a little bit more of your view through the window. However, it's not terrible. It's not quite as good as the man's vision, I don't believe, but you still get a really nice big side window to look out of. So it's really not all that bad. I see the acceleration here under 25 tons is really, really good. Those Newton meters coming into play right now. That low engine torque. It's got good braking as well for a 4x2 truck. It's got really strong braking capabilities. Its front mirror is set up out of the way, so you don't have to worry about that too much. It is in your vision a little bit if you're looking like really straight on, but it's nothing that really detracts or distracts from you. Again, it's just the one thing I always had problems with the Volvo is its stability. Now, I don't know if it's changed, and unfortunately, I can't truly look because of the mod that I have, and I don't like shutting my mods off because I've had that ruin my game, unfortunately. Clip the sidewalk there, but that's all right. And that's how many upgrades the Volvo has. One thing I didn't like about the Volvo is there wasn't too many engine upgrades or too many other upgrades between starter and finished truck, so it almost felt like cheating. You know, it kind of felt like cheating to me, you know, because you didn't have to go that far to become the strongest truck, because you were already pretty strong to begin with comparative to other trucks. Matter of fact, if you were playing the game and you looked through all the trucks like I did, it became very, very apparent, you know, which truck you'd most likely want to go with, just because the Volvo was so much stronger. You know, since patches, they've toned that down. But it's still, with the 1900 Newton meters, pretty much one of the strongest trucks out there. Otherwise, there's not a whole hell of a lot to compare to. You know, maybe slightly less visibility than the man in terms of the window and the windshield. Otherwise, you know, they're pretty comparative. Although the man does with a much lighter engine than what the Volvo does. And does the man have 1600? Or, oh man, I can never remember from video to video because I don't drive them often enough, in all due honesty. So that's really a pain in the neck for me. I don't drive my trucks enough. Hit that a little fast, but because I had to brake, we're slowed down a little too much. But even then, we're still going to come out of the top of this hill at 43 kilometers per hour. You know, a really strong showing, definitely, for the truck. You may say, well, you're accelerating kind of slow. Well, technically we are on a minor upgrade here. I know it doesn't look it, but I've played this game enough, and there's people that played more than me out there, but I played this game enough to be able to detect even a slight incline and know that the trucks are climbing versus the trucks are on flat land. And sometimes I even have to study myself, and I go, I don't know, am I on flat land or am I on an incline? And then a close look at it, I'll go, oh yeah, there's a slight incline here. I hate toll booths. I really hate toll booths. That's why when I play this game, I hate driving through France. Not to be stereotypical in hating France or French people. It has nothing to do with that. It's from what I understand, France does not have a registration fee for cars or something of that nature. In other words, you don't pay for putting your car on the road. So in order to keep up road maintenance, they have toll booths instead, which, makes sense if you want to keep the road under repair and all that. But on the other hand, just as you finally get a good roll going, it's like, bam, toll booth, gotta stop. Get a good roll going, bam, toll booth, gotta stop. And it gets so annoying. Oh, I hate driving through that area. I dread when I see it. But there comes a point, and I'm actually at that point, where I'll either drive a load because of what it is, or I'll drive a load because of where it's going, because it goes to a city I haven't been to yet, versus I drive a load because I can make the most money from it. And I'm already at that point where I can just drive a load for whatever I want. Yeah, see, here we go. We just got off the road that we paid to get on, or not paid, but we got the ticket to get on. Now we got to pay to leave it. $4 or €4 actually. But again, this does give you a good sense of speed, acceleration, and actually braking. And again, like I said, the Volvo is nothing to sneeze at when it comes to hitting the brakes. And it definitely, is hauling really well in terms of pull. 25-ton load. We only hauled one other, and that was, I don't know, what was that on the Mercedes that we hauled the first 25-ton load? Might have been. It's a shame. I only just did these videos, but I got so much going on in my head about things I want to do, about getting the DLC going east. This is, no, alright, this okay. I thought that might be a little risky, but no, we were going well slow enough that it didn't matter. Oh, Magnum. That truck is so easy to pick out from everything else. As you can tell, even in acceleration and whatnot, the Volvo is actually a fairly quiet truck. As compared to like MAN and Mercedes and Renault. It's actually a fairly quiet truck compared to them, and that, I guess, kind of goes along the Volvo lines. Volvo does make a very strong, solid car with a lot of good attributes, so it only makes sense that would kind of transfer over to the truck. I guess you could almost call the Volvo the luxury truck of the group in terms of what it's capable of, what it has, what it does. The fact that you can buy a starter truck in black with side skirts for a little bit of extra money, I think that kind of says, it's the luxury truck of the group, or at least it's trying to be. It's kind of like comparing kind of like taking, I don't know, we'll pick some American stuff here because it's what I know. It's like taking a Ford, a Chevy, and a Dodge truck and comparing them to something like a Lincoln Navigator. The Navigator may be able to haul a good load, but in the end it's a little bit more fancy than your average vehicle. Honestly, that's kind of a poor comparison, but that's the best I can come up with, because the Volvo is definitely more truck than an Escalade is an SUV to a pickup truck. But oh, that was a sudden uphill, wasn't it? And handled it quite well, honestly. But again, it's just, it's fairly quiet. Its interior, you can tell just by looking at it. And again, you can buy it with the side skirts. You can buy it in black and all this stuff. And it's definitely a lot fancier than your average trucks, which only come in one color. They come with the very basics, the basic engine. You can't get side skirts on them and whatnot. So that you kind of start off with a little bit more than you normally would in your average truck. You're not supposed to do that. I don't even know if the roads are like... the roads can't be like this in Europe. I don't know why it looks like this, but it does. Yeah, we're on a slow climb here. Oops. I double tapped my record button and it didn't start recording again right away, so there'll be a bigger little glitch there than normal, but it's okay. Rather than do it by time, I'm kind of like doing it by miles. I'm watching the kilometers tick down, and then when the kilometers hit a certain point, I tap the record button twice and keep the audio synced up, which I think is actually working fairly well. So we've already covered quite a bit of distance. We're down well under 400 kilometers. We're down almost 350. We only got 5 hours, 57 more minutes to go. Again, I kind of apologize for it being a night run, but you can't help everything. I found a fairly good load to tow, and got to run with it, especially when when you have as many things unlocked and you have full full long distance haul unlocked, so you can travel from one end of the country to the other. Now, I don't know how else to describe it. Once you drive the trucks, you get a feel for when they're going to tip over. And it's really not hard for me to tell while driving this Volvo that even around 80 kilometers around those corners, that she was tipping pretty hard. She wasn't close to tipping over, but I can definitely feel the difference from driving the MAN and the Renault, the instability of the truck. Back into the tunnel. I'm actually looking forward to more DLC. I'm always keeping my eye out for good mods that hopefully won't clash with the 40 mods I already have in the game. I'm definitely looking forward to the fact that they're actually making an American truck simulator. I guess they're going head to head with 18 Wheels of Steel now, which 18 Wheels of Steel has kind of been stagnant. There's been very little improvement in the game comparatively, graphics and experience, whatnot. It's a good game, but I haven't bothered with it in a while. And then Euro Truck Simulator 2 comes along and then blows it out of the water. And now they're trying to put that same effort into an American Truck Simulator. Should prove really, really interesting. especially with the modding community, because the modding community has actually modded a lot of American trucks into Euro Truck Simulator 2. There's been the Kenworth K100. There's been a couple of those. There's been another Kenworth, one of the older style ones. I forget, was it K300, KW300, something like that. There's been a couple Peterbilts modded in. There's been a few Mack trucks modded in. And, you know, I guess it gave them, maybe the guys at SCS, that, you know, we should do an American one. And, well, yeah, but I'm hoping they improve again on the company aspect, because I don't really have that many drivers. You know, my company's not overly successful. The problem is like I'm not competing with anyone. You know, I've got nobody to go against in terms of hauling. I've got nobody to bid against. I don't have to worry about rival companies. So I can just do whatever I want, haul whatever I want. It's not a big deal. And even with, you know, shy of 10 drivers, I think, I still make a boatload of money. So we got some good speed coming on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We got a bad corner here that actually was trying to warn me about, and I should have been paying closer attention. So good, strong braking, definitely. A lot of braking power. And part of that comes down to the transmission, the retarder, Jake brake, call it what you will. A lot of that comes down to that ability as well, because it can't all be just ground brake, you know. The truck itself with the trailer brake, the air brakes, it just can't be that. It's got to be more. And like I said, I do have mine set to work automatically versus me actually doing it, because again, my controller doesn't allow for that, and I can't react quick enough. Bunny! I can't react quick enough to do it on the keyboard and not go flying across a corner somewhere, or if something bad was happening. I do have the motor brake right there, like that, that I can use. I mean, look at this. Driver Marcel made $22,000 right there. You know, and all, my truckers are all starting to get to that point, except for the two new guys that I hired, and there's two guys that are working up a little bit. But for the most part, though, this is looking familiar territory, yeah? Again, I really wonder if there's places like this in the world where you just like step outside your door and get run over. That'd be a scary thought right there. Let me turn here. One of the things I'm curious about too is why America hasn't adopted more of the Euro truck design, especially like in the trailers and in the trucks themselves. And what I mean by that is the trailers, you know, instead of going 2 wheels per axle for 2 axles on most trailers, you have 1 wheel per axle and 3 axles, as you see just going by there. To me, that spreads the weight a little bit more across the 3 axles instead of 2. The tires are a little bit wider, and therefore, you know, a little bit more stable in the trailer versus what normally is. And on top of that, you're actually using 2 less tires. Instead of using 8 tires over 2 axles, you're using 6 tires over 3. And I also don't understand why we really haven't gone with the more cab over design for American trucks. And part of my reasoning behind that is I think it would make a lot of drivers more aware when they're sitting right up there in the front of the truck. Granted, they're high up, but you know, having that big nose on the front of a truck, you know, that can be hard to see over. And I don't know, it just seems like the cab over design is just much easier to deal with. It has better visibility, and it kind of makes you more aware when you're driving versus having smaller windshields, which a lot of American trucks do. They have much smaller windshields. They're hard to see out with that big nose out in front, which blocks a significant amount of your vision. So I haven't ever really understood that. Maybe not so much the trucks. America tends to get stuck in its ways. But the trailers, definitely the going with a 6-wheel 3-axle trailer over an 8-wheel 2-axle trailer seems like a much better design choice than what we have now. I had somebody leave a comment, and I have yet to get back to that, and I can address it here now, although I forget who left this. And finally, somebody who doesn't make fun of this series. Well, no, of course not. I used to be a CDL driver, as I mentioned before. I never made Class A, although it was my dream. At one point, I did have Class B. I did drive motor coaches and school buses, as well as a few box trucks, but the box trucks were usually smaller trucks. My main big vehicles were school buses and motor coaches. And I enjoyed my job. I really did. I enjoyed being out on the road. I enjoyed driving the large vehicles, and I was a natural at it. The guy who trained me had been driving for quite some time, and the very first time he took me out to train, after I got I guess you say my training license or whatever, basically I got permission to train, as you do like a car. After I got permission for that, he took me out to drive, and I did everything naturally. And he took me places, and there's an area down here known as Lahaina Harbor. It's actually very tight for your average bus, and you actually have to learn to parallel park a motor coach when you go in there. So I did those things just naturally. And when we were finished at the end of the day, he kind of took me out and said, I don't know why they're bothering having me train you. You just need to learn the obstacle course and you're ready. And that was probably one of the most prideful days I ever had. So, but no, I wouldn't make fun of this. I can understand the lure of it. This kind of appeals to people who there's several demographics this appeals to. First off, you wouldn't think somebody who does this for a living would actually enjoy doing this after they get home. But that's not true. There are plenty of truck drivers out there, and I've seen posts about it. There are plenty of truck drivers out there who drive all day in Scanias and Volvos and Mercedes, DAF, MAN, and all that. Then they come home and play Euro Truck Simulator too. This also appeals to people who want to drive like trucks, who want to be truck drivers and large vehicle drivers, maybe like motor coaches and school buses and whatnot. And then it also appeals to people who tend to be trapped. You love the freedom of the road. Maybe you don't necessarily want to be a big vehicle driver, but you're kind of trapped inside all day. And this helps give you that sense of getting out. It gives you that little bit sense of freedom, of being on the road, of doing your own thing, not having somebody over your shoulder telling you what to do, telling you to hurry up. There's no pressure in this game. It's fun. The things that happen, even when they're bad, can be funny. There's just a lot of good, relaxing stuff to it. And that really strong sense of freedom really, really helps in the game. And that's why it appeals to a lot of people as well. And so it makes a lot of sense because I kind of have been in all three of those categories. I've always wanted to be a CDL driver, and I was a CDL driver, and this kind of gets me back into not only being on the freedom of the road, but driving the vehicles I've always wanted to. I always wanted to be a truck driver driving cross country, and I can't do that anymore. anymore because, my disabilities. But this is the next best thing, and it's really engrossing. It's not only just fun, but it's almost like a Zen game. It can be so relaxing. I can't count how many times I've been driving on the road, just enjoying driving. I'll, blare music in the background, and I'll completely miss where I'm supposed to turn off, and I'll drive for like miles before I realize it. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm going the wrong way, and I have to turn around and backtrack. So people that make fun of this, they're just ignorant, misinformed, or they're like, first-person shooters are the only games and all that. I don't make fun of any game, really. I don't. If you enjoy playing Farming Simulator, hey, go for it. I actually enjoy simulation games like that. Farming Simulator, I wouldn't mind playing it. I don't own it right now, unfortunately, but I wouldn't mind owning it. I wouldn't mind playing it. Looks like a fun game to play, trying to run a farm. I've always liked the outdoors. I've grown up in country areas mostly. The very few times I lived in a city area, I didn't like it very much. So, yeah. Get an outside look at our truck here. Its chassis is not too short, but still, you can actually see the weight down on the truck, on the back of it. Yeah, I don't need my high beams anymore. It's lightening up out. So, yeah, I don't make fun of anybody who likes any kind of simulation game out there. Whether they're racing, drag racing, farming, truck driving, flying, even trains. I think the only reason I never truly got into train simulators is because there's so many expansions. Hoy. There's just so many, and the same with ship simulator. Oh, honestly, I'd love to be able to get into the ship simulators. Being on the open ocean. I mean, there's so many hobbies that I enjoy and love, and there's just so much of them that I'd love to do. And being on the ocean is something I truly used to love. And even though I live in Hawaii, I rarely by the ocean anymore because I actually live up in the country. And again, my disabilities tend to kind of keep me away from things more often than not. But it's still, I got a beautiful view of the ocean, and that's a blessing in and of itself. But yeah, piloting everything from like a tugboat to a super tanker, and super cargo ships and ferries, and they even have extreme weather and all that. Ooh, that would be so much fun to get into. Maybe someday I will, but right now, no. There's too many things I got to do, especially with all kinds of things coming up. The holidays coming up, and the holidays, get the what is it, and my car registration. My wife's birthday is, I believe, like 32 days from now, and just a lot to think about. So, well, not that, and the fact that Battlefield 4 is coming out, and I am an avid Battlefield supporter. I don't argue Battlefield versus COD. I don't. COD has its benefits, it has its pluses and minuses, and it appeals to its fans. Battlefield's the same way. It has its pluses and minuses, it has its benefits and its negatives, and it appeals to its fans. Both games are great games, and I really don't think that there's much of a reason to argue back and forth which game is better and what game is what and all that. COD would not have been going on as long as it has if it was not a great game, and the same with Battlefield. I am not overly happy that Battlefield is going to a yearly release, but time will tell if that's a good decision or not. know, time will tell if that's a good decision or a bad decision. Alright. This will be our off-ramp that leads to the city, or town, village, whatever. And, you know, has held up very well. The Volvo has done very, very well in terms of the haul. It's handled hills and braking very well. It's turning, even like this, at 50 kilometers is a little bit rough, but not, you know, not something you can't get used to. Really, why do I only rate the Volvo second, even though you can upgrade it to the strongest truck in the game? It starts out possibly the strongest truck in the game. Again, it's unstable. Its extended cab to me looks ridiculous, and you get that Globetrotter XL thing on it, which, yeah, you can mod it out, but it's still a pain in the butt. Oh, this was not the exit to our town. That's the exit to the town. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, you really shouldn't upgrade the cab until you upgrade the chassis, or you become the most unstable thing on the road. To me, I don't like how quiet the truck is, to be honest. You know, it's too luxury. You know, you don't get the feel of it's a truck. You get the more feel that you're in an SUV than you are in a truck. Hence why I made that comparison earlier about Ford, Chevy, and Dodge versus a Lincoln Navigator, although that wasn't the best one. That's kind of what the Volvo feels like to me. So it's a little weird, to say the least. You know, if you're looking for a truck that's nice and quiet, it has good viewing, good engine, good power, good steering, good braking, good mirrors. You know, everything about it's good, except its stability. And the fact that it looks kind of silly when you have the extended cab on it and whatnot. And again, just the luxuriness of it. To me, that just detracts away from the truck enough to bring it down that one notch to make it the second best truck in the game. But that's my personal opinion. You know, everyone's entitled to their own. Like I said, even though I rate Iveco as the worst truck, there are plenty of Iveco fans out there who really enjoy driving Iveco trucks. Hey, that's fine. You know, again, like I said, when it comes down to your own personal choices, I'm not going to stomp on it. I may not like Iveco, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't. And somebody else leave a comment saying that MAN is pronounced M-A-N trucks. Yeah, that's true. It is M-A-N, M.A.N. But you can't tell me that there aren't people out there that say MAN trucks. You know, you really can't. Because that's exactly what it spells. And for the most part, this is going to be an interesting back end with a longer trailer. And for the most part, I think that makes it sound really cool when you're talking about the MAN truck. You know, it's a MAN truck. It's a man's truck, you know. To me, that just seems to make sense. Oh, boy. Yeah, we screwed this pull in pretty hard. We might be able to save it. Too far. So I'll pull it straight a little bit, and then do it again. Alright, I think I can work with this. I gotta turn. This is my problem. I don't start turning soon enough. And so I end up oversteering the trailer. I don't know if this is gonna work. Oh no, good enough. We got it. There we go. Very well done. Alright folks, so there you go. That is the Volvo FH1316 Sleeper, and that is the black version. It's slightly more expensive because of its body and paint job, but overall still the basic truck. Yeah, you've already heard me say everything about it. It stands repeating really quickly. It has good vision, definitely very good side mirror vision. It hauls really well with its Newton meter lineup, and strong engine. It's got really good braking capabilities. It's got good acceleration when under even a heavy load. But again, you're looking at a truck that is unstable. If you get a good amount of speed up and you start coming around the corner at a good clip, versus like Scania, Mercedes, and MAN, she will start to topple over. Her cab is fairly tall, and it's not very deep, so that just makes her unstable. And if you actually put on the extended cab before you upgrade your chassis, then you're going to become extremely unstable. And believe me, I've had experience with this. I've done it. I upgraded the Volvo's cab to maximum cab without upgrading the chassis, and like I said, I was tipping over everywhere, so it was not fun. And again, it's a very quiet truck. Like I said, it's a lot more luxurious in terms of a truck versus all the other trucks. So, it's kind of like buying the high-end model pickup truck versus the standard work truck. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't do its job really well, because it obviously does. Again, to me, when you're at this point between MAN, Volvo, and Scania, it more comes down to personal preference than it does which truck is actually better. Because in the end, when you mod everything out, they mod up almost equally. The MAN has a 680 horsepower engine, the Scania has a 730 horsepower engine, and the Volvo has a 750 horsepower engine. But the horsepower and Newton meter difference between them is really not significant enough to really make a big difference. And by that point, when you get the multi-wheel chassis on, they're all equally stable. They all haul really well, brake really well. So it really comes down, when you're talking about Scania, Volvo, and MAN, to personal preference. And personal preference wise, the Volvo ranks second among all the trucks. And that is because of just how strong it is in the start, and it's got really good braking and visibility and all that. Alright folks, that's going to be me done for this one. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Next time we get together, I gotta actually go to my garage manager and quick travel to Roma, as I make even more money. Alright, stop backing up. Stop backing up. Thank you. When we come next time, we shall be doing this. Ta-da! The Scania R360. Beautiful forest green truck. So until next time, folks, this is One Big Bugger. And if you leave a comment, rate, and subscribe, be greatly appreciated. If you have any questions or suggestions, I am completely open to those. So don't be afraid to leave any comments, suggestions, criticisms, or whatnot in the comments below. I will read and respond to each and every one of them. Again, it just may take me a little time to do so because I tend to be a little slow at getting things done. But until then, folks, this is One Big Bugger signing out. I've babbled on long enough, so I'll see you next time.